I don't know how accurate this is, but I had this big old flash of light, and I thought it was in the physical, but it wasn't. But I thought it was. It was so bright. Anyways, after the flash of light, this information it happened twice. First to get my attention, I think, and then another time to tell me something. And then a voice, I don't know, if it was my intuition voice or my true self voice, said, "We have a lot of false karma. We have a lot of false karma. Uh, like, let's say we have 100% karma. Our karma is not really 100%. It's like uh, maybe 10%, something like that, or 20%." Because it was showing me that when we turn off clones, when we turn off synthetics, robots, or androids that don't have a soul essence, they're just like mechanical things. That there's no karma in turning them off. And then I was shown this peasant person. He was a chubby-looking man with a kind of like a big nose and kind of short. He was dressed like in the days of Robin Hood, and he had this knowingness, this inner knowingness of everything around him, even though he was very humble and short man, and he would never tell anybody that he had this knowingness because then they would consider him some kind of witch. And there was this woman in the village who was into herbs and healing, but she had to play a pretty fine line so she wouldn't be accused of being a witch too. Well, this man, he saw this lady near the river or lake, and his knowingness told him immediately she's poisoning the water of the river or lake. And before she could do it, he threw something like an axe and cut her from the chest all the way to the stomach. When he went to go look at it, instead of having organs in her body, she had these black tubes running through her whole chest and stomach area. It was like nothing he ever seen. He tried to understand what that was, but he knew this is not a human being, it's not a person. And one of the villagers saw this, and they came and they went to call the magistrates or the law enforcement of those days. And then, yeah, they arrested him and took him away. And then, uh, when they called the people to take care of the body to bring it to the city hall, whatever, in those days, they also saw that this was not a human being. This was some kind of thing that they didn't understand what it was. But instead of letting the man go and say, "Oh, this man is innocent of any crime," the whole village was crying out for his head. And they were in a dilemma that if they let him go, they're going to lose the power or the fear of the people. So instead of letting him go and telling the truth that this was not even a human being, they uh, they still prosecuted him, and they said everybody. They never mentioned the part that it wasn't a human being with these black tubes going through it. And so after a while, because he wasn't a knowledgeable man, the man that turned off this creature or whatever it was, he, even though he had this knowingness, he started to feel that maybe he did murder somebody. So he, and then the villagers are screaming for his head that he needs to be prosecuted and killed and all that. And he's starting to get confused that maybe he started to doubt himself. So all of a sudden he made a karmatic prison to himself, when it wasn't even needed to be there. And all of a sudden, I was taken way up from this vision that I was seeing. I was taken way in the sky or somewhere, and then shown. Can you imagine this happening, where the whole village says you're this, the whole city says you're this, the whole country says you're this, the whole state. You know, there's now with the internet, the whole world knows you're some kind of criminal when you're not a criminal, but they're pushing this on you that you are, and you start doubting yourself. So you impose a self-imposed prison of karma, or a false karma, and that's what I was being shown, that when they're not really human beings, there's no karma there. Now, and of course, there has to be a certain level of indifference so that you don't believe these people or believe these institutions that say that you committed some sort of crime. So that was kind of confusing and interesting at the same time.